This is a DM's guide for the War of Pandesmos. Now I've dug out my maps and bits and pieces just to see what sort of scenery I have of this windswept sandy land. It's very much a place of demons fighting spidery folk. So these are my kind of options. There are ruins to be had here. The players are on a cliff top over a beach. A tower juts from the cliff and another from the sea. There are various locations along quite a little far stretch, which is why I dug these out. There's a fog which carries a screaming sound and it makes distances difficult to judge. Describe a battle raging between thousands of demonic forces, and amidst that are spidery ones with wolf heads. One side supports Lolth, the Spider Queen, the other side supports Miska. Just like the Blood War in Avernus, the players will get squished if they get too heavily in the middle. But a side battle is possible using the Quadlithku Spider Fiends and 3 Kaku Spider Fiends, which are trying to hollow out a massive carapace to use as a little base. Vave has heard that Miska has almost been released from her prison. A vampire seems to be responsible, apparently. He kinda took over a cliff that way down the beach. Lolth's forces want to put Miska back in imprisonment. Lolth has recently allied with a massive force, Vecna. Now her general, Kamlash, a Balor, is currently leading the Spider Queen's battle. Remember the fog. You can't just see for miles, you have to explore a bit at a time. The ground is awash with Kamlash's citadel spiders and the skies with Miska's 3 Hasvongals, plus 3 more. Because this acts as like waves of enemies. This sea is really an energy which deals 20d6 damage. Acid, lightning, necrotic, radiant. Oh, plus there's a chaos kraken out there called Vashishax. Hurricane Tower is 200 feet tall and is next to a 400 foot drop off a cliffside. Its webbing is keeping it up with 6 web anchors. There are loads of people warring around the tower. And if you need to run an encounter here, start with 1d4 Driders, 1d6 giant spiders, and 1d4 assassins. 1 is the vestibule. Most of the interior stonework has decayed. Webs are commonplace. They have an AC of 12, about 60 hit points. They're immune to bludgeoning and fire, and piercing, and psychic. Now a ladder at the back leads to the tower proper. There's a drow assassin here, called Althine, and a wood elf mage called Vendrasha. Now they are praying to an altar of Lolth. 4 Driders are here, but 1 is a spy in disguise from Miska's side. It's a shape changer. It's called Rachaz, and it's actually a Fizzarazu spider fiend. Any intruders will get fought, and Rachaz will stay out of the way just to observe and take information. Now there's 8 gem-laden Yoklol statues worth 45,000 gold pieces, but is this really the time to start carrying that sort of thing around? In the tower base, Kamlash is planning how to move troops as countless spiders cover him. He suggests 4 Driders, then 6 Driders as well. Nah. Blitz with 10 Driders or put in something else cool and spidery. A nether spider from Grimhollow's Monster Grimoire? Look, it's only challenge 3, but a few of these in your game, AC 14, resistant to fire, spider climb, all that business'll. Bite of +5, 10 piercing, causing a con save, taking 7 fire, 9 poison. Can turn you to hot ash, web attack +5, grappled as usual. You get the idea. Okay, these enchanted anchor webs deal 48 psychic damage. If the tower falls, it says it does 70 average bludgeoning. It's up to you what effect destroying the tower does, if any. Who it alerts. Maybe Kaz, probably not. I'd hold that off perhaps. Kaz just wants Miska out. He's already used the rod to start to open up the portal, but it's not wide enough, so he needs to go and find something else to widen that hole. Miska's prison is inside the ruinous citadel fortification, which is somewhat battered by time and tide. Area 1. 9 Kaku spider fiends await orders and are just marching in formation, waiting. These are eager to spill blood. from the enemies. Area 2 has an invisible glyph on, 66 psychic damage when triggered. The room has kraken carvings on the wall decorating them, and they've been graffitied over with pictures of wolves. 2 Fizarizu spider fiends have spun webs which don't burn, and in 3 it's kind of an empty corridor with more defaced carvings. 4, there used to be a glyph here, it's all faded and gone now, but there is armour, weapons and banners, and you can dress up essentially as Camlash's forces to get around a bit safer. Tiny spiders crawl on floor mounds, and on the ceiling is a drow in a cloak of the Arachnida. Naxa is the twin of the one we met earlier, Vev, and is obsessed with this cloak. It is a family heirloom, and that is the secret that gives the players the reroll. There's also a +1 longsword, 3 +1 daggers, potion of stone giant strength, which allows the player to have a strength score of 23 straight away. A rope of climbing can be magically instructed to knot at individual points to be climbed easier. It has health, it has hit points, it regains those hit points. In 5, 3 spider demons sit around a table in front of a map on the wall. Jalizanx is the name of a Reclupus spider fiend, sitting with 2 Kaku spider fiends, discussing the next combat tricks and tactics. And they jump into a fight. Jalizanx will stay slightly back for self-preservation reasons. Can just teleport away if he wants to. Once that's dealt with, the map on the wall shows where all the forces that are fighting are reserves, and Kaz is a gold dot, and the purple dot is a kraken in the psychic radiant-y energy ocean. To be found here amongst webbing, 2 scrolls of Glyph of Warding, which do 5d8 damage of whatever type you decide really. In 6 there's another glyph, 66 psychic. The room has many cocoons in it, and this is going to be to feed Miska should he come through. Then there's another glyph door. The far wall is Miska trying to use the rod of 7 parts to carve the hole bigger. If you remove the rod, the thing will magically start to seal again. Do they bother sealing Miska in the prison, taking the rod back? These are things to consider. Quite a cool moment. There are guards though. There's a Reclupus spider and a Fizarazu spider guarding Miska while he works away at the wall. Paul. So yeah, do you want your players to fight Miska through the wall hole? Will they allow Miska to eventually burrow through and be an issue in the world at large? Whatever, there's a weapon of warning. Pretty cool this. Gives you advantage on initiative rolls, means people within 30 feet of it cannot be surprised, and actually awakens your friendly combatants should combat break out while resting. If Miska does get re-imprisoned, his forces know about it, and they've lost essentially. They will instead turn on each other to try and get a position of power. Kaz will also know something is wrong. Kaz is always on alert and ready to be dropped into this campaign for a final battle whenever you want. Is it now, or is it in the Clifftop readout coming up? Your call. The cliffside readout is where Kaz is meant to be. He uses his misty form to come out of vents rather than main entrances and exits. On the very top of a cliff is a metal bunker. It's got a dented metal door which, because of the barred nature of it, is buckled to be very secure. Loth's forces smash away at the bunker part. There's a citadel spider and 4 driders. Teleportation inside is impossible because of the forbidden spell. 2. A rubble-strewn entrance has Kalzak, a Reclupus, and 3 Fizarazus guarding the chamber beyond. They're all disguised though. Kalzak is a white-haired wizard-looking illusion, and the Fizarazus are disguised as normal crabs. Maybe giant crabs. 3 then. Kaz is surrounded by bodies that he's fed on. There are 2 potions of supreme healing knocking about, and a spell scroll of seeming, which is another illusory disguise kind of idea. Have Kaz mock the players for being taken in by his ruse for so long. He seems to think the chime will be used for Vecna, so isn't worried about it. If they beat Kaz down, or however the secret comes out, he will say, and needs to sort of say, Vecna is in the Cave of Shattered Reflection. That is his secret. With Kaz beaten, we can go towards Vecna. Now, I lump all the stats that I think might be important. Let's have a look at what's capable of what. Starting with the Quathalithku Spider Fiend, AC 19, 256 average health with a speed of 40 feet. Resists cold, fire and lightning, immune to acid and poison, has true sight so can see invisibility, can speak telepathically to people, magic resistance, the usual, we've seen it all the way through this book, advantage on saves against spells and other magic, climbs where it wants, can feel you through webbing and can pass over webbing as if it wasn't difficult terrain. Bite is plus 10, it will do that twice. 15 average piercing, plus 17 poison damage, but some people can shirk poison. That poison creature can't regain hit points for a minute, and you repeat the saving throw at the end of your turn. Dissolving Web is an acid-drenched web in a 90-foot cone. DC 18 con save, taking 44 average acid damage, and objects around it also start to melt. A bonus action will give it advantage on attack rolls against the creature it's sizing up. Kaku Spider Fiend, AC of 15, an average of only 91. These are the foot soldiers. Resistant to all the same things, cold, fire, lightning, immune to poison, resists magic, can climb all over, all the same. But it has 3 attacks, plus 6 on a bite, 14 piercing, plus 10 poison. Then it can pull each creature within 60 feet of it, that it's grappled in its web snare, 30 feet towards itself. Okay, so they're printed in the wrong order, because it should have said web snare first. Web snare plus 6, grappled, and it pulls you towards it. That could have all been written in one text block. A Drider is AC 19, 123 average, health, advantage on saves against being charmed and put to sleep. I like the Fairy Fire option where it can highlight its enemies. Makes 3 attacks, 1 can be a bite, plus 6 on a bite, 2 piercing, rubbish, plus 9 poison, very rubbish. Longsword, plus 6, 7 slashing or 8 slashing if two-handed. Longbows, plus 6, 7 piercing, plus 4 poison. At this level it just seems quite meaningless. Giant Spiders, just for flavour, AC 14, 26 health, plus 5 to a bite, 7 piercing, DC 11 con save, 9 poison. Can paralyse you though. The web is plus 5. Spits that at you, DC 12 strength check to burst free. And then possible assassins, 78 health. Now why is the assassin? It doesn't sound like it's going to be that good, but it has a bunch of health. 78 average. Does sneak attack, extra 14 damage, but it has advantage on the roll. Short swords, plus 6, 6 piercing, DC 15 con save, 24 poison. I just know that a lot of the characters are going to be immune to poison. They are in my games generally. The Fisarazu Spider Fiend, AC of 17, 170 health. Similar resistances and immunities, the same old magic, the same old movement, it's just a standard spider thing. Multi-attacks, 1 bite, 2 claws. A bite is plus 9, 15 piercing, plus 9 poison. Claw, plus 9, 22 slashing, and can swap out something for a scintillating spray. Creatures are outlined by glittering webs for a minute. It's like Fairy Fire. DC 16 Wisdom save or you're stunned. That's decent, a good old stun. Bonus action can change shape into a crab, a drider or a giant crab. So those driders from earlier where it tries to throw 10 at you, maybe you can shape change them into Fisarazu Spider. Camlash, the huge fiend below, AC 19, 325 average health. So in my game, as I used full health, that's 468 health he'll have for me. He flies 80 feet, but can move 40 feet on land. Some strong saving throws there. Similar immunities, has true sight, telepathy. He explodes when he dies. DC 21 dex save or 70 fire damage. Advantage on save against spells. I hope you're always remembering those, but they seem to be fairly standard in this game. Camlash is surrounded by tiny bursting spiders that magically appear and disappear from moment to moment. 3d6 poison damage and must succeed on a DC 21 con save or you're paralysed. That's important. His flaming whip is plus 15. 30 foot reach, wonderful. 25 fire damage and DC 21 strength save pulled towards Kamosh. Lightning blade is plus 15, reach of 10 foot. 21 slashing plus 13 lightning. Or he can swap out one of those attacks to teleport around wherever she wants. I think I missed that detail. Reclupus Spider Fiend, AC 19, 210 average. No resistances, but immune to those things we spoke about. True Sight, yeah, all the same spell stuff, walking through web stuff. Bite is plus 11, 16 piercing plus 18 poison. Succeed on a DC 20 or you're poisoned for a minute. Incapacitated condition, can't regain hit points. And then the serrated sword is plus 11 for 19 slashing plus 18 poison. Venom Globe plus 11. 45 poison damage. It makes 2 of those serrated sword attacks, by the way. It can cast Teleport, Telekinesis, which is brilliant for whipping people's weapons out of their hand and over cliff tops and stuff. Invisibility. Bonus action. It can magically end the charmed and frightened condition on itself and any number of allies. Okay then, Miska the Wolf Spider. Bear in mind I did suggest Tasha and Illustrail could come into this game. They can arrive at any moment from getting to Pandesmos should you wish to up the challenge of everything. Otherwise, take what you want from Miska's stat block. AC 21, 399 average. Resistant to cold fire and lightning. Immune to stuff from non-magic. True Sight Telepathy, Foul Ichor. If they hit Miska, they take 7 poison damage. 3 legendary resistances. The usual magic resistance, Spider Climb, Web Sense, Web Walker. Done. 1 Lupine Bite attack and 2 Trident of Chaos attacks. The Lupine Bite is plus 13 and a reach of 10 foot. 17 piercing, plus 27 poison. Then a DC 21 con save or you're poisoned for 1 minute. You are incapacitated and can't regain health. A lot of that is void if they can shrug off poison. Trident of Chaos, plus 13, reach of 15 foot, 13 piercing, plus 9 force. No one can really do anything about force. Now it says that Miska can teleport, so you would think that teleportation through that hole would be allowed, but, you know, magic stuff, it can't. But mass suggestion, dominate monster, think about that. Bonus actions can magically end charmed or frightened on himself or others. 3 legendary actions. Howl. A bloodthirsty howl at 1 creature that isn't a fiend. DC 21 wisdom save or 13 psychic. Can move without opportunity attacks. Can use a spell. A citadel spider is gargantuan. 310 average health, 50 feet walking and climbing. Legendary resistances, 3, walks when it wants. 2 bite attacks, plus 14, 19 piercing, plus 7 poison, twice. Ranged attack, plus 14, 24 bludgeoning. Dex save of 19, 10 acid damage, and you're restrained. In its reactions, in response to being hit with an attack roll, it can reduce the damage by 2d10. And finally, Kaz the Betrayer, the Vampire. 315 average. Speed 40 feet. Some good saves. Immune to things that aren't magical. Immune to debilitating effects and conditions. He adds a d10 to his initiative rolls, that's good. Advantage on attacks against frightened creatures. 3 legendary resistances. He also regains 20 health at the start of his turn. If he takes radiant damage, this trait doesn't function at the start of his next turn. Now, all my undead in my games are vulnerable to radiant because it's holy light damage, and we all think that makes sense. You might not do that. Kaz wears the Crown of Lies. Does that have things of its own? The Crown of Lies has 1 minor beneficial property, 1 major beneficial, and 1 minor detrimental. Bear that in mind. He can spider climb up the walls. He can be permanently destroyed only by having a stake driven through his heart and then being beheaded. And the stake must be cut from a tree growing in earth. Sunlight hypersensitivity. He takes 20 radiant damage at the start of his turn. Disadvantage on attack rolls and ability checks, and can't use his change shape. Kaz makes 3 vengeful sword attacks. Plus 15, 20 slashing, The sword scores a crit on a 19 or a 20. He can bite you for plus 15, 11 piercing plus 10 necrotic. The hit point maximum is reduced by that amount of necrotic. Kaz regains that hit points. The target is turned into a vampire spawn if killed. Well, down to 0. Bonus action, change shape. Turns into a cloudy or misty form. Flies at 20 feet. Can enter a hostile person's square. Has advantage on Dex, Strength, Con. Immune to all non-magical effects. But it can't move objects. A menacing glare bonus action. Target succeeds on a DC 23 wisdom save or is frightened. And that goes back to advantage on attack rolls against anyone who's frightened. Reaction. Parry and riposte. He adds 3 to his AC, making it 21. Against 1 melee attack roll that would hit him. He then makes 1 vengeful sword attack against the attacker. On a hit, the target takes 9 extra slashing. Legendary reactions, moves without opportunity attacks. Swords, a vengeful sword attack. Can summon a spectre. But the most important thing there is he can only be killed by a stake through the heart and being beheaded. How are you going to deal with that when no one's going to have a stake from Earth? This is where the chime is very important. You have to banish Kaz or rewrite the rules of his death. So nearly done. Hope this helps, and I'll see you for the last chapter.